welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 425, Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2 from 2017. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too. And this episode is brought to you by Ego Power Plus. Their Ego Mower cover is designed to provide year-round protection for all their Ego Power Plus lawnmowers. Shout out to Ego Power Plus.
Well, shout out to Ego Power Plus, and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. You somehow hit it in our little pre-show banter that you have no voice from the Steelers game, but
sorry, yes, yeah.
I forgot that was going to be a thing, but here we are talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 with some very fun guests. With us returning from, what lap would this have been? 12, maybe?
I was guessing 7. I don't know.
I thought
7.
9?
7.
Oh, okay, good.
7. That was a good guess.
7.
Joe always knows numbers, even though...
Yeah, I don't remember anything else.
How good you are guessing numbers.
Yeah.
Anyway, with us today to talk about this movie is the MCU experts, the in-house experts, Nico and Kevo. Hello, welcome back to you both.
Welcome back. What's going? What's doing? It's happening. We're here. By the way, I'm the Nico one.
You are
I'm the Kevo one, yeah. That is usually how it goes.
So, right before we started recording, Nico, you said, I don't know why we're talking about this movie.
I rarely know why I'm in any given room at any given time, so frankly, it just felt kind of like par for the course.
So here's the background that you need to know, and there's not much. This is the oops, we should have covered that lap in which we are covering movies, usually with a couple different Fast and Furious actors or a director or something. It's all a little loosey-goosey, or sometimes it's like, oh, that was a car movie that we didn't cover or something. So here we got Vin Diesel, we got Michael Rooker, and we got Kurt Russell. Two of those actors no longer in the franchise. All three of them, unclear if any of them, if there even is a franchise. Who knows? We'll talk about that on the next Life in the Fast Lane. But this is just a movie that I feel we've never done a Marvel movie on this show. We talk about Marvel all the time. I think when we were looking to get guests for this lap like a year ago, obviously you guys already covered this over on HTML. So if you want actual trivia and actual research about the movies, go check out Kevo's wonderful research over there. I have basically pulled things about Vin Diesel and Michael Rooker and Kurt Russell from IMDb. There's not a ton, but Mr. Research, Kevo, has lots of stuff over there on a wonderful show, wonderful run. But also, I was very curious to rewatch this because I have been so burnt out on superhero movies the last couple of years, and I was like, will going back to one of the MCU movies that I love the most in my top 5, will it hold up? And I think the answer is kind of, mostly, somewhat. I don't know. But that's why we're here. We also missed you, so that's why you're here. But Guardians 2.
I don't think I should just jump in on that because I famously don't think this is a very good movie, and having rewatched it, I think it's a less good movie. So,
okay.
And in fact, I even feel like it hurt other better movies because I can literally see the note-for-note same shot Michael Bay uses the same kind of explosion every time that he used in Superman, crashing a ship through a big opening area. The dialogue between Gamora and Peter Quill is almost identically the dialogue between Lois and Clark in the interview sequence. Like, I am disillusioned further, but I'm always having a good time.
There is a thing where it's like the Joss Whedonification of the Avengers has sort of poisoned, for better and worse, every superhero movie to follow, and I also think the James Gunn-ification has also done the same thing. I loved the new Superman. I'm also a Superman boy. I grew up on Superman comics. Those are the movies that I want, and I was psyched to watch that movie. But also,
did you like Superman, Nico?
Well, I'll say that we've covered over 850 Superman comics on X in the last 3 years.
A show that famously began as a Marvel Comics podcast.
And, we've covered more Batman than that. And I will say, I thought that it was a real fun DC movie where absolutely no one actually was the star because there wasn't room. There was a lot of... Every James Gunn movie is turning out to be a shiny jukebox with 4 songs. You could have had 1,000 songs in it, but you were so busy making the jukebox look cool with lights, you forgot to put in the music. And there were so many cool beats in Superman, I wish they would have remembered to say black people's names.
And I wouldn't say that Superman wasn't the center, but was it a Superman movie? Was the story solely Superman centered the way you would expect from the first Superman film of this universe? No. Really no. So I really have to agree. It leans so heavily on ensemble, which is very clearly something James Gunn needs to do. I feel like rewatching Guardians 2 actually increased my enjoyment of Superman because I feel like it worked better in many ways in Superman because he got the Superman characters better, whereas with the Guardians of the Galaxy characters, he was kind of told he could do whatever the hell he wanted, so he made a more crass version of Farscape. They're not the comic versions of themselves. It's not the comic... Like, hearing Ego say the word Celestial... I completely forgot he called himself that, and it's so stupid, especially
I have a
now,
note about that. Is that Eternals, or is that not Eternals?
That is Eternals. And that is incorrect nomenclature, correct.
Yeah, that's just that thing where, like, Sean Gunn... not Sean Gunn, I'm so sorry, James Gunn. It's so hard to tell because you can never have that one without that other one.
That other one.
Yeah, true.
So, just a big step back, as a big Marvel fanboy, and as a big comic books fanboy in general, we've kind of gotten away from the idea that a comic book is a medium, not a genre, and superhero is a banner, not a genre, and because you can have superhero noir, you can have superhero action, you can have superhero sci-fi, and what I guess I didn't need was superhero frat boy, because so much of this movie, and Kevo and I are gonna get into it, like, we literally see Yondu zipping up after sex with a prostitute a few minutes after a bunch of turd jokes. If this movie is meant for 9-year-olds, then it should be meant for 9-year-olds. If the movie is meant for 19-year-olds, it should be for 19-year-olds. But appealing to everybody means you appeal to no one. And so, like, to divert back to Superman for a minute, part of my problem with the elaborate Superman power fantasy that people project onto the character is that they believe he is so powerful and so strong that he chooses not to be is a show of restraint, and it's a really good thing, and I agree with that. I think where the Guardians 2 and Superman connection comes in here for me is the idea that James Gunn believes in order to have a likable lead, he must be weakened and flawed on an emotional and moral level before you can really progress. And here, while we didn't see Superman weakened morally, the efficacy of his world was repeatedly weakened, and the world that he represents was stripped of its moral center. And it didn't do it in a way that really compelled, and it didn't do it in a way that contrasted. Lex Luthor was never shown to actually be a person. He was shown to just be a bad caricature of pure evil, which makes Superman not a man fighting pure evil, but a caricature of goodness. So instead of getting Superman the man, I got Superman the cartoon logo. And what I'd wanted was something that searched for something deeper than playing catch with the dad that never wanted you. And I feel like I am suspended in this fast food neon culture of James Gunn movies where, again, you just can't have that one.
You're really coming for Sean today. Leave Kirk alone.
I really just felt like the through line I needed was the man in Superman, and the through line I got was you really know how to work that cape.
But we're sailors. My love, my lady,
the sea
is the sea.
You know,
that's even the problem with Guardians 2. Kevo, please save me from my rage.
what was your use of that song again? What movie?
A very pretty sequel.
Whereas mine was Charlie's Angels with Tom Green and Drew Barrymore on, again, his boat.
Chad.
The use of pop culture and pop music in this, by the way, is also something that you have to be very careful about, because people bring their own associations to these films. So, yeah, I hear Brandy and I think Tom Green shouting "The Chad" was great. So, really be careful about how much pop culture you pack into these things. It's not always the same.
There is an element to the James Gunn movies, specifically the Guardians movies, that relies so heavily on the soundtrack, but he's just picking the biggest songs of all time. Like, it's not songs that, like, were deep cuts or B-sides on, like, records that his mom loved. It's like, his mom has shitty taste in music. Like, his mom just likes top 40
music.
radio.
Yeah.
Well, and then it's the borderline. So, when I was a teacher, I used to explain the middle school answer is if the book ends with "and then the man went to bed not to get up again," going, "Oh, he died." If the high school answer is the man went to bed, and it's left up to the audience. The college answer is what part of him died that he has to keep living exhausted and lonely and empty.
What part never got back up?
Exactly. Yeah. And to use the chain only for the line, if you don't love me now, in regard to your father, when the song is about the dissolution of a complex interwoven relationship between men and women, because that's the biggest thing. Women don't matter in this movie at all. Gamora is basically a love prop for everyone she bounces off of, whatever form of love she needs to be. Mantis is literally there to be called ugly and repulsive when she is the only member of her, unfortunately, she's the only member of the Asian community, of her community, to really be a major character here. And we're repeatedly told she's repulsive for having kind of, unfortunately, consistent with stereotyping of Asian character traits. That's horrifying. And then there's Nebula, who is a betraying, backstabbing, murderous person who does whatever it takes to get ahead. So then to take women out of the equation of the songs they're in over and over, the reductive quality of using the music in a way that takes... I mean, you're literally turning Sgt. Pepper's into She Loves You. You've really got to be thinking about the dumbing down of love.
And you can say it's there, I think, even especially with a character like Peter Quill, who is very stunted maturity, and so you can say it's how the character views it, but you're also saying a lot about your character there. James Gunn had a lot of feelings about Star-Lord being the one who caused Thanos not to be defeated, and saying, Star-Lord would never do that. We just watched him do that. He, eviscerated his own father as soon as he heard those words. You even pointed out an angle I'd never thought of before. That could have destroyed the planet for all he knew, because he thought he was killing Ego, and Ego is tied to the planet. So there
he
was
might have
no
just
thought.
Took out a Nova. Yeah.
Pure impulse. So, that is there. But, then that's not necessarily... none of the characters in this film feel especially heroic, and it's still enjoyable. But it's hard to feel like you can't root for pretty much anyone except for Gamora. Mm-hmm.
Oh, meanwhile, I do give the third one, a B+. So please be aware, I don't hate all things Guardians and all things James Gunn. I really love the comics that the third one is based on. We 3, the unrelated story by Grant Morrison that has nothing to do with Guardians because it was the We 3 movie that James Gunn was trying to make over at DC. It fell through and he just took the script over to Marvel. I really love We 3, and so Guardians 3 is great, but I just feel like there are too many weird beats in this movie that I'm supposed to take seriously. And I feel like the other problem that I get so mad about is Yondu. Yondu literally is abusive. He is a murderer. He literally has implied sexual torture at one point in the first one. Threatens cannibalism repeatedly. And then he's the world's greatest dad, which...
Well, yeah, this whole movie is kind of like Yondu redemption, right? That's the main... even more than the Ego, Peter, father-son thing, it's like the Yondu redemption.
But it's
and
not.
For what?
He's not even redeemed. They just say he's redeemed. It's like
he's Mary Poppins, y'all.
Except everything he does leading up to that is actually in line with the things that we're told are bad. And then he does this thing where all of a sudden now he's the good guy because he's the lesser of two evils. And I'm telling you right now, if your stepdad and your naturally born father both abused you, the one who hit you less isn't a good man.
That's a good point.
And this is literally giving an entire generation of men an excuse to be abusive as long as they get forgiven in the last moment. I'm sorry, but this sort of armchair psychology of men are allowed to be terrible has got to get out of my movies, because I am tired of leading men that are leading us to damnation.
And not to wade too far into anything, but I mean, it's right there. Michael Rooker's character is very that Trumpish type. And, now here we are 8 years after that movie, and I'm not saying Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 caused anything. I'm saying that there are a lot of things that have contributed to where a lot of culture and a lot of human behavior is right now, where there's a lot of forgiveness for abusers that should not exist. And it never really sat well with me the way that this was presented. It's not impossible to retcon in that there is this better lens through which to view Yondu, but that's even part of it. You are essentially retconning it. It is not congruent with the picture that was portrayed of him in the first film, and that's just that is what it is. And so it's tough, and it's also questionable as to why you even feel it's necessary. Why can't you just move forward instead of trying to do this thing to redeem a character who's kind of a villain? Let's just let villains be villains and not need to do that redemption arc.
Joe, what do you think of Guardians 2? Sorry, okay, good.
I really like Guardians. I do like the James Gunn of it all.
Are you tired of it or no?
No, you know what this made me think, and I was telling you a little bit about this before we started talking, like, today. When I was watching it, I got, like, so burnt out on Marvel that just, like, the silly, goofy fun of this one was a giant, reprieve for me. That, like, I kind of like how, like, it doesn't take itself seriously. It has top 40 music. It's not, I mean, like, yes, there's flaws, but, like, overall, this is just a superhero movie to me, right? Like, this is just, like, them having fun on an adventure, and, like, they're doing dumb shit. There's not, like, a real like, they stole some batteries, right? Like, the stakes are like, granted, they are fighting, like, somebody trying to take over the universe or whatever, but, like, really, like, the stakes are kind of fucking low. He's fighting his dad, like, and they stole some batteries.
Well,
So,
just the Earth is literally in danger. He's literally
Yeah.
going to take over the entire planet and kill all of the heroes and all of the people on Earth with his seed, and this is going to happen on multiple planets.
That's actually even something that, it actually is a universal cataclysm, and they kind of brush past and treat it like it's not
he's
a big
going
deal.
to. But do the stakes feel like that to you in this movie?
No, because it's poorly
But
directed.
they should. They should, because they are. And it's fine to, like, have fun, but it's weird to introduce this could have ended the universe, and you walk away from it feeling like, nah,
It's low
it was
stakes.
fine.
It feels low stakes,
I think
right?
both perspectives are right here in, like, a scene where Rocket is trying to tell Groot what buttons to push, and there is a fight going on, and instead of seeing the fight, you're, like, seeing Peter Quill ask for tape. So I think you're both right, where it's, like, it's not necessarily...
No, on paper, I agree. The stakes are the end of the universe. But, like,
But
the
it feels
feel
like
of
you're
the
not
movie...
seeing the battle, you're watching Groot dance, or you're watching Groot and Rocket talk, or whatever. And so I think it's a different perspective, and I think Joe is right in... It doesn't feel like every other Marvel movie, even if, like, at the end of the day, it is big CGI explosions saving the world. Also, you know, Fast and Furious, right? It's just like...
Yeah.
It's like, instead of watching Dom and Letty race or whatever, it'd be like, well, watching Rico and Tego grill on the barbecue or something. It's like, well, why are we seeing this? It's like, well, why not? It's like a different change of pace.
I would even draw parallels to, there's a Buffy episode in season 3 called The Zeppo, where it is a Xander-focused episode, and in the background of that whole episode, there is a, real, classic, major Buffy apocalypse going on. But Xander's got his own low-stake adventure going on, and it turns out that he finds ways to intersect with the main drama, but it's really more of a comedy episode where in the background we see all of the other actors being so dramatic, but they're trying to shield Xander from this danger, and so he doesn't really know what's going on. So we as the audience are aware that there is this big thing, and we're kind of getting glimpses, but this clueless character isn't really as aware of the stakes. The stakes existed, and we see the flashes of it, but the energy of the episode is a lot more subdued. But the thing is, Xander wasn't part of that story, and that's why it feels more subdued, whereas these are our heroes. And and it's such a weird emotional balance. The scene you brought up with the tape, I remember that being the trailer for this movie. The whole scene of
That
him
tracks.
talking to Groot about the bomb. The third act of the movie is essentially spoiled because it's that whole scene was the trailer. And it was so weird then, especially to see it in movie theaters. I've sat through this 2.5 minutes 5 times in front of 5 different movies. We're in the middle of the third act. And so it was really, for me, it was jarring, I think. And not that it was unpleasant or bad, but strange.
I want to divert for one quick second, and we can come back to this, but you mentioned Xander in Buffy Season 3. Not only, and we found this out last week,
Yes.
character name Xander Cage in Triple X movies, but there's also the Groot planet is Xandar.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of Xanders and Xandars going on here. one thing we learned, and another reason I wanted to talk to you guys today about this, even though I didn't know this when I booked you guys 11 months ago or whatever, was, I don't know if you've been aware, Nico, you sent me the link today about Michael Caine unretiring to join The Last Witch Hunter 2. But for the past year or so, Vin has been trying to manifest multiple projects by posting to Instagram about these meetings he's having and what the fans want.
Outside of Universal lots, he's taking videos of him walking.
It's him and a security guard and just like, hey man, it's cool. And Joe has theorized that there's like a Vin Diesel button at the security booth at Universal, like he's coming, watch out. But he has shot so many pictures and hinted at video of a Kojak movie that seemingly does not exist. He has willed into existence The Last Witch Hunter 2. He keeps talking about Fast 11, which is maybe coming out in just under 2 years, but also maybe not. But the most important one is he talked about how Planet X is the movie that fans want the most. And the way that he said it, and it being so long ago and us being so naive, I just assumed it was one of those like Hall H, Marvel puts up, here's our next 45 movies, and one of them was Planet X. There's never been a Planet X movie. So, do you think there will be a Planet X Groot movie?
Was that founded? Do you guys know more than us? Was that founded in any type of real truth?
More Groot?
So, if he means...
That's so funny. He was just talking about that.
If he means, like, Xandar...
Yeah.
He calls it Planet X. He calls it Planet X.
Oh, because Planet X is actually the name of the story in Marvel where Magneto commits Holocaust against the New York humans and executes everyone. Jean Grey becomes the Phoenix for the first time in 25 years, executes Magneto, he just survives, kills Jean, and then Wolverine beheads him, leading to House of M. So
okay, so I knew that was a story from your Phoenix HTML series, but... This was like so what happens is when you Google Vin Diesel Groot movie, there are all these like comic book sites that say
that there's this movie coming out.
There is this surge, this Vin Diesel is talking about whatever, and the only thing they are referencing is an Instagram post he makes about how the fans want Planet X. And so we, aside from realizing Xandar and Xander...
And when we were just recently researching it, we're like, oh, let's go see when this movie was supposed to come out. Like, let's look at the Marvel timeline. And we're like, there's no record of this.
There's none on Wiki, there's none on IMDb. There's multiple projects he's trying to get going that are not on his IMDb.
I had a friend one time change the IMDb of Rent to say that James Earl Jones was going to play Collins before the movie ever came out, and people began going up to James Earl Jones and being like, so you're going to be Collins in Rent? It's just one of those things where...
You were the people who did that?
It's one of her friends. Mostly. But
still.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I really do think that enough people think if you just get it going, it winds up happening.
Yes.
Like, if enough people say, oh, Ecto Cooler is back on the shelf, one day you just walk right into Wegmans and it's just like, oh, hey, Slimer, what's happening?
So Joe has a little piece of paper next to him where you have every movie that Vin talks about and the odds we think that they are ever going to get made. And I said last week, Vin Diesel is one of the few people on this planet that if he wants something bad enough, there's a chance that movie gets made. There he is. As people who know more and care more and pay attention more to upcoming Marvel properties, can you confirm there is no Planet X movie coming out?
I can say that I haven't heard anything about it, and that if I have heard anything, and obviously I'm not like some... if I were an insider, I would not be repeating that stuff on here. So let's say I'm not, and let's repeat something that is kind of semi-out there.
Sure.
You know, when you talk about any property, you have to think about the fact that there is a life shelf to it, and then, you know, it's why today's kids aren't all clamoring for, you know, the stuff we grew up with, because that wound up being like your parents' thing. So eventually stuff cycles out, and the big rumor is that Marvel is completely pulling out of Groot, and they are going 1,000% in on Jeff the Landshark. Jeff the Landshark, the most popular character to come out of the comics in 10 years, the most popular character to be introduced to rivals. Jeff the Landshark
is that from Suicide Squad? The Suicide Squad?
Well, he's Marvel, so he can't be.
Right.
Jeff the Landshark from Marvel.
You're thinking King Shark.
King Shark. Okay, no. I knew there was a shark recently.
This
Jeff
is a
the
little
Landshark
precious little baby.
He's a little puppy shark.
Okay.
And he's a baby, and he's Deadpool's pet. and Deadpool gave him to Emma Frost, who started carrying him around in a little Fendi bag.
Like he's a Pomeranian.
Yeah, and
Okay.
he is the most played character in Marvel Rivals. And he's already had like web series, he's had comics, he's had like this character. The woman who created this character, first of all, is deserves all of the fame. But Jeff the Landshark is the next Groot. And every now and then someone says to me something like, "Oh, well, I've never fucking heard of him, so how can that happen?" And my response is, I bet you'd heard of Groot 1,000,000,000,000 times before Guardians number 1.
Right.
And I bet you even
Everybody
thought
knows
of
Groot.
Baby Groot before Guardians 2.
And Teen Groot before Guardians 3.
I'm Groot, you know.
Who created Jeff the Landshark?
I have
Kelly
heard of Jeff the
Thompson.
Landshark. Do you think that Game Freak is like kicking itself for not making Jeff the Landshark a Pokemon?
You know, Jeff the Landshark is one of those things where, like, Marvel kept saying the dumbest shit in the world, and they just kept making me so mad. We can curse here, right?
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
of
thank
course.
God. They kept making me so mad because every now and then they had this idea, and like they just kept saying like, "This is the idea that's going to put Grogu to shame." You're going to say Baby Yoda who, and it kept being the dumbest character, and like one that really stands out is they did a Baby Warwolf, and for those of you who don't know who the Warwolves are, they're an enemy from early Excalibur, so they're like minor at best. They tried to make a Baby Werewolf happen, and it failed. And then
He's really cute though.
yeah, he is. And then there's this pointless Deadpool book where Deadpool is the king of Staten Island, and Staten Island is full of literal monsters, and Deadpool is the king of the monsters of Staten Island, and he
Accurate.
gets a pet shark, Jeff, and overnight they could not keep copies of this book in stock. And the book itself was unfortunately not as successful as it deserved to be, but Jeff the Landshark became such a cultural phenomenon that the designers of Rivals put him in there when he was barely even a character. He's got a monthly title called It's Jeff now. And
Interesting.
the whole reason I think about this, and the whole reason this matters, is because, like, intent and design are such different things, and they're such different bodies when you're talking about something like this. Because, like, when I think about what makes Fast and Furious something where I'm so excited to come back to this show, not just because I think you're both wonderful gentlemen and you're both such handsome faces, but because I think there is spirituality and religion in places we forget to look, right? And so, like, for me, a good album can be religion. For me, a good album can save me. When I'm in a dark place, all I want to do is really build up a nice Lego set. You know, I just want to get myself a nice prestige set, maybe build a little Batmobile for myself, right? I have like 4 of the Batmobile Lego sets. I think that you can achieve that. You can go those places. And while Fast and Furious is certainly flawed by virtue of being irrevocably damaged by being a film created in its era, it seeks to provide family to a demographic who have long felt that the idea of family, as defined by found family, is considered secondary. And in the world of Fast and Furious, found family, it doesn't matter. What matters is you want to help the unit. And that's the most superhero fucking thing I've ever heard. To bring it back to Guardians, my frustration is that Guardians doesn't seem to be about that. They seem to always want to forgive each other, but they don't always all seem to be willing to do the greater good. I would gladly exchange the Guardians for the Fast and Furious crew in space any day, because I feel like Fast and Furious better understands what it means to be the Enterprise. What it means to be...
Like the USS Enterprise, or what Enterprise are we talking
like
about?
the USS, like to each take a station and work together to build the view of what it means to move as one, than the Guardians can even come close to. You know, Vin Diesel as this manic pixie lumberjack mechanic is just...
Manic Pixie IP boy.
Yeah, he just wants to come around and make your world full of his giant bald head. As someone with a giant bald head, I vibe. But Oh, Kevo, by all means, please save me from this.
I almost wish you hadn't brought FF into it, because you're only drawing the comparison of, yeah, no, there's so many other teams I would rather watch, though, is the thing. I mean, yeah, completely. The way that Fast Furious franchise has evolved from this, very street-level thing at the very beginning, very much more of its time, into almost super heroics, much more natural evolution than when it happened on Riverdale. But the fact of that it's so much more than the insane places it goes, that it is about the teamwork, it is about the family, it is about this crew, and it's about being there for each other and working together. And, tensions run high because they are all very human, but it is about them coming together. And I feel like, I was excited to come back to Guardians Volume 2 because I thought, oh, this is the one where they're a team, and I'm going to enjoy that. No, they're not. They're still not working together. It is literally only 2 minutes in Infinity War that we get to see this entire team working together in this configuration and happy.
Well, it does sort of seem like that's James Gunn's brand, though, right? Where, it's the Justice Gang, and it's not, they're kind of a team, but they're also kind of not a team, right? It's like, don't you love the dysfunction?
I mean, Mr. Terrific is Rocket, Hawkgirl is Nebula, and Guy Gardner is Drax. They are literally I'm annoyed I have to be the tech genius, and I have to save all of you, and I'm going to literally bitch about it every moment of the day. I'm the woman that screams. I'm the most powerful, and I scream the most. I'm a guy who's a dick and makes uncomfortable sexual remarks at people. Literally, he understands a handful of modes.
Well, I actually think drawing that comparison made me realize, I think part of my problem with Guardians is how far removed it is from humanity. I think made it difficult at times for the way things are portrayed. And I think a great example is people inconsistently calling Rocket different things. They don't know what a raccoon is. They don't know what a panda is.
He's a raboon.
The triangle-faced monkey. The fact that Nebula calls him a fox. I feel like there's no consistent logic to what people do and don't understand altogether. But the thing that I think, when you said the Justice Gang working together, I was like, of course they are. It's a job. Oh, that's such a human, earth-based thing that is so much easier to understand and easier to portray. They're all working together because they're under contract. And they're not stupid. And this is a gig-based economy. And James Gunn is a lot more comfortable writing somebody holding on to their job than this nebulous idea of the pirates are evil, but they're not that evil. They don't hurt kids, but they are called Ravagers, and they are violent. There's no consistency because it's make-believe. It's Neverland. It's fairy tale jargon, basically. So because there isn't any grounding, and because it has that freedom, that also makes it a little too, I guess, lost in the sauce, is what the kids say.
That's what I say all the time.
And I'm not trying to go out on a date with just Joey for a moment, but I'm desperate to ask you a question, Joey. I'm desperate. It's a need. It's pulling at my insides. I recently watched a video by a super fantastic gamer girl, and I love saying gamer girl because we need to just sort of get the idea that gamer girls are real, and they are awesome, and they play games, and they're geniuses. Let's always say it. And obviously there's stupid dudes, so I'm sure there are stupid gamer girls too. But this one was really great, and she said that the most important thing to remember about Final Fantasy VIII, my favorite video game of all time, which is for me actually a fashion magazine with fights. She said the most important thing to remember about it at all times is that the game is always lying to you. That the sorceress you're fighting is not the sorceress. The battle you think you're seeing at the opening is actually just a training montage. The actual purpose of the school is not what you think it is. Garden is good at what they do. All of these are huge lies that make a constant reveal exciting. I actually think that Guardians 2 is all lies, beginning to end. They're finally a family. No, they're not. The gold people are clever, capable, and in charge. No, they're not. The idea of ego is actually possible. No, it's not. He has finally found his family. No, he hasn't. They will all ultimately be happy. Actually, no, they won't, because Nebula's about to be the surviving sister, not Gamora. And the idea of Guardians is always based on the idea that for Nebula's, let's go with forgiveness to come due, she has to be the one to sacrifice herself for her sister Gamora. And instead Gamora dies, and Nebula never gets to sacrifice herself for her sister in a hero's journey kind of way. All lies.
And I have to make a specific point to say, it absolutely was known at the time of production that the Gamora part was a lie. James Gunn at one point considered killing Gamora at the end of this film to further Peter Quill's story. I'm paraphrasing that to be funny. I'm not trying to be mean, but essentially she was going to die at the end of this film because Zoe Saldana wasn't interested in continuing to play the character forever, and he knew that. She really only intended to play the character, I think, in the first film. So he thought about killing her off here and instead was asked not to by the producers so she could be killed off in Infinity War. So it was always known that exactly what you're saying, that this is a lie, that they will never get to be this family, is completely true, because James Gunn instead decided to put that on Yondu. That's where the Yondu arc came from. Instead of killing Gamora, he put all of the Peter Quill evolution onto killing Yondu instead. So, and in some ways, it's, that one, it is just, life just is sad sometimes. You never know who is going to survive.
So, Joey, as someone who has played Final Fantasy VIII, as someone who has familiarity with this movie in multiple viewings, do you kind of see what I mean by, one does the constant lie with intention, and one does the constant lie by accident?
I think it's yes. I think it's hard to compare a game that takes 40 to 100 hours to a thing that is digestible in 2 hours, because I think that there is more time to set up and pay off. But I do think what you're saying, this Squall Cypher thing, they're mortal enemies. It's they're not really. They're bros, kind of.
Yeah.
Right? Cypher's kind of an asshole, but Squall's kind of an asshole too, right? So, also, side note, I've bought, multiple packs just trying to get Final Fantasy VIII cards, and the first pack I got a couple, and then the second one I was just no, there's nothing in there. So I also bought the starter packs.
Do you wanna compare MTG FF cards? Because we have several unboxing videos on our channel. Please go check them out.
You,
cool.
I started buying them because you bought. I was like, oh no, I need these now.
Oh, they're so good. Jonah got he actually got the rare Squall art variant, and I am
very cool.
I am empty inside.
I mean, I don't know that I would compare that. My mind would not go to compare those two pieces of art. I'm glad that yours did, because that's why you have a beautiful mind, and that's linking the media there. But I do think that's an apt comparison. I also just think that my big question here, and I know that I was much higher in this movie than you two were when it came out and when you were doing your rankings and when I sent the rankings in, but my thing is, does, just in general, not this particular presentation of the MCU, but does the MCU in general work for me still? And I don't know. I mean, I haven't gone back, I haven't watched the original Avengers, I haven't watched the original Iron Man or Winter Soldier, which are 3 of my other favorites, so I don't know. But I was very curious to see if this movie, in a vacuum of not seeing 4 new ones a year or whatever, would it work? And I'm not sure that it did. But also, this is, I think, by design, not supposed to be your traditional MCU movie, right? This is supposed to be the outsider art kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know that this is the best way to go back and judge that. Because, in terms of the newer ones, we talked about it briefly on here, and I know that you guys have talked about it much longer in more detail in your other shows. I like the new Fantastic Four, but I was expecting to love it, and I didn't. And I don't know if it's that movie's fault or if it was I'm just burnt out. But then I really liked Superman. And so maybe that's just, I don't know. It's because, again, like you were saying earlier, kind of the same thing, right? It's the James Gunn of it all, but it worked for me in a way that I don't know. So I just don't know how to feel about this stuff anymore. I would like to spend more time mentally comparing it to Final Fantasy VIII, but, after we're done recording here, because I think that's an interesting comparison, but I don't know.
I really love that you brought up Fantastic Four, because I loved Fantastic Four, but I don't think any Marvel movie is going to come close to the I saw it twice in 2 weeks emotional religious experience I had seeing Thunderbolts. I cannot think of a Marvel movie I have enjoyed more than Thunderbolts in a long time. We'll never probably go back and rewatch the Marvels. What came after the Marvels, Kevo?
I would have to look. I rewatched the Marvels once. It was fun. I mostly did it out of spite because I wanted to be like, I've watched it more than once.
I'm the biggest Jane Foster fan I can think of on the planet, and I will not find myself going back to rewatch Love and Thunder anytime soon.
I might.
So Marvel, in about 2013, as a company, said that we have hit this pinnacle of big stories. We have hit this peak, right? All we do is big stories. And they began doing these sexy little boutique runs where they got these interesting writers who were always known for what are known as widescreen comics. May he literally always burn. Warren Ellis essentially is the father of widescreen comics, for better or for worse. The Authority is, of course, like the most important work for that determination. And if it weren't for widescreen comics, we would never have the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the DC Universe. And so we unfortunately owe this man a lot. That's all we owe him. And so when we talk about widescreen comics and the idea of what they did to the idea of storytelling, we hit a point of decompression where we took emotional beats and we said that emotional beats should hit like jokes on a page. If comedy writers write a joke every 16 seconds, emotional beats should happen in a comic every 3 pages, right? And so widescreen comics said, take the 22-page story and spread it out over 160 pages. And from there, we took the idea to keep making these things bigger and more emotional and more intense. And so when you said earlier, Joey, just a few minutes ago, that you felt like this was the Outsider movie, I kind of feel like by Phase 2, the Outsider movies were the Insider movies, because you have Ant-Man, you have this, you have Thor: The Dark Age, which isn't like directed by like a big Marvel Insider guy. You have the ideas of Iron Man 3, which are purposely removed intrinsically from the relationship of Avengers. Kevo, why the face?
I forgot Thor: The Dark World was directed by a television director.
Where are we going, right? And so
Alan Taylor. He's directed episodes of Sex and the City, y'all.
Oh, that's... gosh. And, you know, that's why...
What is this? I still know what you did last
Kevo,
summer?
that's why Asgard is the 5th girl.
Oh, yeah.
The
city of Asgard.
I feel like when we say...
But Kevo, what is the capital of Jamaica?
Shut the fuck up! We just did the entire...
Brazil,
Joey, we just did the entire I Know What You Did verse. I know what you did.
Well, he just referenced it, so I mean...
No, we just did it this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
No, we watched I Know What You Did Last Summer. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I Know What You Did Last Summer 2025 and the entire TV show in 48 hours 2 days ago.
Yeah, I don't like most of those, but I know that it's not Rio de Janeiro, it's Brasilia.
You should like them, but not for what's on the page. You should like them like Guardians of the Galaxy, for what they do to your heart.
I like the TV show maybe the best. The original movie for the nostalgia, and maybe like the TV show the best.
Wait a minute! Like Lennon and Allison? The TV show?
I've only seen it once, but I know that I don't like the sequels at all.
Wait, the 2025 sequel? You didn't like the 2025 sequel?
No.
Okay, I really liked the 2025 sequel, and I didn't like the show, so I can't wait to do I Know What You Did Last podcast with you. But,
well, he keeps threatening to do a Jennifer Love Hewitt podcast.
Because I think at this point I have watched every episode of everything.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Oh, I'm right here. I should make it. So, oh God, that everything just happened. This is why we come back to this show. I do think, like, what happened is we hit a point where we said that the insiders at Marvel were just Whedon and Marcus McFeely and the Russo brothers, and why can't I think of my husband's name? He's gorgeous. He's so hot.
Kevo.
Yes, but the other husband.
What movie?
Not Happy. Directed the...
John Favreau?
John Favreau, thank you. I just couldn't think of his name. I just kept thinking Chef with a Truck. Chef with a Truck.
I was like, I don't care if he's happy. Tell me more.
I do love the movie Chef, because he's like, what if I got 3 of the most beautiful women in Hollywood to all be in love with me at the same time, and also I'm really good at cooking, and I'm really I got a troubled relationship with my son, but also he's going to love me by the end of this movie. Also, by the way, I'm banging 3 of the hottest women in Hollywood. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's one of his hallmarks of his career. He is this. I feel like there's this thing where it's like hard to explain gay hot to people sometimes, where like they're like, that guy's not hot, and I'm like, that guy's a fucking bear 10. What is wrong with you? And Jon Favreau was like a bear 10. And so I feel like sometimes people forget that he, like, at a bathhouse would clean up like he had a mop. But he, he's straight. So
Marvel Insiders.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like the big picture here is that Marvel wound up being made by the outsiders all the way through. There are the people who do the tent poles, and everybody kind of has to respond to them and do what they want, but Taika Waititi is not a Marvel insider. Peyton Reed is not a Marvel insider. And they directed multiple films each. Actually, the guy who is a Marvel insider, the guy who directed 3 Marvel movies and a Marvel special, who wound up helping shape the Infinity Saga, helping to contribute to the most Avengers storylines, is James Gunn. This movie was made by the Marvelist insider.
I do like that you brought up Taika Waititi, though, to bring it back to the Fast and Furious VI and his lovely wife Rita Ora in This Is London, baby. Anyway, keep going.
No, please. Anytime you want to bring up Rita Ora, I am in. If we could just also always remember to bring up Tessa Thompson, always looking so fucking cool. Where this movie sits in a Marvel big picture is like they wound up resting so much hope on this, because I feel like the writing was on the wall for Whedon after Avengers, and when people don't think that Age of Ultron was destined to be bad, I'm confused almost, right? After Dawn of Justice, that anybody thought Justice League was going to be elevating it's hard for me, like you know how these things go, and even if something is great art, everyone is going to tear it apart. I feel like Guardians was given a wide berth to make very small moves. And there's kind of a metaphor in Chris Pratt is significantly, like, beefier this movie. He is a trend king this movie. And he is shirtless for about 10 seconds. And that's kind of what I mean. They just keep making everything big and bright, but they forget to do anything with it. And so, like, the other thing, Kevo, I'm so glad that you brought this to my attention earlier. Kevo, would you please add in a little bit about why Adam Warlock is the most annoying thing on the planet? And it directly is my problem with this movie and the direction and the writing.
And in many ways, my problem with James Gunn, who, like, I genuinely, and I was talking to show contributor Tori Sheen about it, and I don't hate James Gunn. Not trying to make it come across like that. I just don't think that he is this genius that he seems to think he is. He changes his tune on things a lot and pretends that he doesn't, and he's liked to say a lot of things about what Marvel's forced him to do. But it's, the history is there that the tag for this was actually his. Marvel were the ones that did not want it because they thought it would be too confusing to introduce Adam Warlock here, because they thought audiences would believe he is then going to be important in Infinity War and Endgame, and he wasn't, and he promised he would tell people on his social media that he wouldn't be, because that should be an important part of the story, I guess. And then now has ultimately said that he felt it was difficult to fit Adam Warlock into the third Guardians of the Galaxy. But those Marvel movies and their tags...
You mean the one of 5 tags in this movie?
That you put in, and you famously spoke about how Marvel let you do whatever the hell you want, so all of these tags are yours. But now here we are 8 years later, with you saying, tags are dumb. And it's just, he changes his tune so much is where I am just not dazzled. That's all.
I just will say, in terms of the Adam Warlock of it all, I don't think I liked Volume 3, but I do think that Will Poulter is one of the very few bright spots of The Bear Season 4, so shout out to Will Poulter.
Oh yeah. I do
Very
like
good.
him.
I have not gone back to The Bear since season 2. It's
You are good. 3 and 4 are bad. So just keep your.
I
if
liked
you,
them,
if you like it,
but I also liked Guardians too.
I
so
also
take
didn't
it as
love
you-
The Bear season 1. I felt like it was a well-written show about people I would literally never choose to watch a fucking second of.
well, there is a real. What I realized about The Bear is that it seems like the writers are like, writing about trauma is what we want to do, and so we're going to write about trauma now instead of writing about restaurants. And it's like, I don't give a shit. Like, is maybe good, but I don't find it interesting.
I don't watch Top Chef for the STDs, you know what I mean? So, I also really love getting to come here and talk about films because I was at a convention and I was so side note, for those of you who don't know, my name is Nico Action and I was brought to this network by a very lovely tiny man by the name of Chris Podcasts. And Chris Podcasts and
I was at a concert with him, not with him, but at the same concert as him, and he sent a picture of the stage, and he's like, "Remember when we were here?" I was like, "Wait, I'm here too."
Well, I have recently been very drunk in public with him. And as someone who now lives part-time in Philly with Chris, we had an opportunity to...
Near.
Yeah, not with him, but like, he also lives in Philly. So we both live in Philly. I meant I live in Philly alongside Chris. Every dumb, bad take on a movie I had, he just went, okay. Yeah, no, it's stupid, but I love it. And so when I went to a Comic-Con around the same time, and somebody said to me, did you think Superman was great? And I said, I thought it was a really fun DC movie, but I think it had some male power fantasy issues that leaned on whiteness. And he said, did you see the same movie as me? Are you fucking stupid? I kind of forgot that you can sometimes have critical analysis of something, and somebody can just be like, no, you're stupid. And that's so frustrating, right? Mm-hmm. Because I don't need people to tell me I'm right. But one of the things is, this movie, while written and directed by the people it was written and directed by, was also acted by other people, edited by other people, produced by other people, sound mixed by other people, designed by other people. And here's the other thing I'm going to say. The director is sure responsible for all of that, but the director answers to producers who run the network, who run the studio, who run the production company. So when we talk about, like, Drag Race on our show, we talk about the fact that it's Rue's show, and it's not actually the most talented person in the world. It's the person that makes Rue laugh the fucking hardest. And when we talk about, we also really love to talk about Project Runway. When we discuss that the designers are coming across in sort of a certain way, we talk about the fact that the designer probably said 973 other words. They chose these 27. Mm-hmm. That's it. They took 1,000 words and they chose 27. So when I say that, like, I think that James Gunn made a myopic picture about man pain being more important than the world, I'm not saying that I think James Gunn is a man who believes myopically that his man pain is more important than the pain of the world. I'm saying that in this painting, in this frame, in this cell of his life, that's what happened. And, like, it's super fun to get to talk about that stuff without somebody thinking that I'm saying that they are living a sham life.
I just can't wait to edit this episode to make it seem like Nico says, I love James Gunn and what he stands for and the movies he makes.
And I live a sham life. I really hope you get that I have a sham life in there. It would really make me happy. I forgot. Can I tell you? We don't edit shit anymore. If you say it on our show, it goes to air.
Oh, we are almost 100% live on everything we do. We don't even edit, so everyone needs to watch them own selves.
And it gets really funny because, like, the stuff we talk about, we'll walk ourselves into corners, and it's live. And so sometimes I'll make a joke, and it clunks. And Tori will privately message me and be like, ew.
You okay?
And I'm like, oh, no. And so, like, I know what it's like to make a big mistake and feel like the whole world can see it for my audience. You know, and I mean this, like, affectionately, like, the thousands and thousands of people that listen to me talk about Drag Race. Listen, I have said things wrong. I have gotten things not exactly right about communities I am not a member of. Right? Like, I know what it's like to say that, you know, I think this group would love it if I said this to protect them and defend them. And then somebody I know from that community says to me, hey, babe, just so you know, we're all very strong and absolutely not one of us needs your defense. And, like, good learning lesson. And that's all I think I'm trying to indicate here for James Gunn. I feel like he is also 8 years past this, 9 years past this, and has moved into a new phase of his life where he says everything is this new determined thing, and then the next day it's totally different. and he says that this is the DC plan, and it is such a perfect ironclad plan, and it will never change. And then it literally changes 2 days later, and he goes, "That's never what I said." And not to bring up somebody hideous that Kevo brought up before, but that reminds me of certain other powerful men who say, "That's never what I said," and I can find the fucking tweet. And so, like, all I hope is that people continue to make, not even James Gunn. James Gunn has no reason to listen to this. James Gunn did his job. He made art. It made money. It kept people employed. He changed the world. He literally progressed what we do as artists. He's done his job.
But we know he's listening.
But, yeah, whether or not he listens or the next guy who's going to direct like James Gunn hears this, all we ever want as people giving criticism is for people to take that, interpolate it, and do a little bit more with it. I'm certainly not saying that I think that this movie was bereft of value, nor am I saying that I think that simply because the women in this movie are diminished, that Palm or Karen or Zoe, because IRL, I would love to be friends with all of you, so I'm just going to manifest parasocialism with you by saying your first names. Hey, ladies, you guys can call me Nico anytime. I think their performances were still terrific, and I think they really did the best they could. But at the end of the day, 1 million people were the director of this, and 1 million people were the writer of this. And while we're able to point to one man, he isn't the only person. So it's more important that the world hear the ideas that need to change than I ever am attacking James Gunn. And so I just want to thank you guys for giving me the room to be indignant about a movie that bothered me then and bothers me now.
No sweat. Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Joe, did you find any fast actions in this movie other than it's all about family?
Yes. The prison scene. The whole movie being about found family feels very Fast and Furious, and them going on an adventure, and like who your biological father is doesn't necessarily make them your dad. That's like a Fast and Furious ideal, right? Like that, you're like, these people are not your blood relatives, but they're your family and your sisters, and this is your uncles and stuff like that. So and then just Kurt Russell in general, because just having I really like Rooker in this. I like Yondu a lot, and I like Michael Rooker when he's in Fast and the Furious 2, and I'm sad that it feels like we're not going to get any more Michael Rooker in the Fast and the Furious.
Or Kurt Russell.
Or Kurt Russell, for that matter. So watching that was funny. And also, like, Rachel was watching this. She was like, I love Dave Bautista. And, like, she said she honestly thinks he might be a better actor than The Rock and John Cena.
Well, he's certainly trying for a thing that neither of them were trying for yet.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I hate that watching this, knowing that Dave Bautista, like, on record hates the Fast and the Furious and thinks they're like schlock.
Do you think that he hates the Fast and Furious because he hates Groot? And he's like, that Groot represents Fast and Furious?
No, I don't think so at all.
Dave Bautista is just somebody who likes to come out against stuff kind of hard. And I only want to say John Cena has been, like, doing independent dramatic film for a hot minute. He really does want to be taken seriously. Dave Bautista is a guy who really wants to make his fans so happy. I don't know that he hates Guardians so much as...
No, he hates Fast and Furious. I don't think he hates Guardians.
He's on record saying that, like, I would never be in one of those movies.
I also want to clarify before you go further. When I said that Dave Bautista is trying to do something, I don't like what he's trying to do very much at all. Like, I like John Cena's movies far more than I like Dave Bautista's movies. I just think that, like, John Cena is like, let me be handsome and likable and charming in movies like Blockers or Barbie or whatever, and, like, it's working, and I enjoy that. I think Dave Bautista's like, no, I'm an actor. I'm going to be muscly but smart in Knock at the Cabin. It's like, well, it's not working.
I mean, John Cena just gave Guy Gardner a blowjob in Peacemaker, so I think he's trying to. But
Trying to what, exactly?
Well,
who knows?
Go after the least attractive Green Lantern of all time. That's for fucking sure. I would go after Tomar Ray first to give me a flying fish man. But Dave Bautista has been like, I hate those Marvel movies. I hate those DC movies. Like, he just kind of, like, gets mad about stuff. I feel like he's just like a showman. I feel like in a really positive way. Like actually, like, I mean that really positively on him. He just wants people to be having a good time. And so he just kind of, I would never be in one of those movies. I feel like it's kind of cool to hate Fast and Furious right now, unfortunately.
Just contentious for the sake of being contentious type
It's
situation.
always popular to hate something. Yeah.
And I feel like, and I would love to get your guys' take on it. I feel like Fast and Furious if tomorrow something happened where there was a weird rights incident and Disney wound up with Fast and Furious, they would relaunch it starring Austin Butler, and it would be so cool to like again.
The Bike Riders 2.
Yeah, because I think the anchor is The Rock, the least liked actor in Hollywood, Vin Diesel, the second least liked actor in Hollywood, Michelle Rodriguez, scary, and then, frankly, like, while there is the very likable Ludacris, he's mostly trying to tell me to get offbeat car insurance. While there is the very likable Tyrese, I feel like he's maybe a little bit better known for talking publicly about the Fast and Furious than he is for anything other than the Fast and Furious. I don't know that there are stars left in the Fast and Furious that have not hit that point of diminished value in the eyes of youth culture. And so until TikTok, the chain re-embraces these people, I wonder if that's really what a lot of the Fast and Furious is facing. An idea that there is a zeitgeist against it, and why would you be the first person to counterculture disliking something?
Like, it just needs to get in vogue again. Like, the kids need to be separated enough from it that it, like, becomes cool to be contentious about liking it.
What's the thing that, like, apparently Radiohead, who just announced new tour dates in Europe, so if anybody wants to fund my trip to Europe after the wedding, that would be fun, because I don't have money for that, but I would love to go to 5 dates in Copenhagen. Thank you very much. Apparently, like, Radiohead's having a very big resurgence, because, like, Let Down became, like, a TikTok sound, and now kids, like, streaming went up by, like, 20% for Radiohead, or something, or maybe even more than that, but just, like, all these kids whose dad probably likes Radiohead, and they're like, I don't like his music, hear the song, and it becomes a thing. So, yes. So if Fast and Furious has a TikTok moment,
Nico's 100% right. It literally, like, the students that I work with, like, I brought up literally Fleetwood Mac, and I was like, oh, like, I love Fleetwood Mac. Do you know, like, all the backstory about Rumors? And they're like, what are you talking about? And they had no idea that there was, like, a breakup album.
Well, I will say that I don't need to hear any of that album on any movie again, because now people use it as, like, a shortcut to, like, divorce. And it's like, well, I don't need that. Like, it's referenced or used or whatever. Also, if I never hear another Fleetwood Mac song in yoga again, like, that's too soon, because, like, every single yoga playlist has 2 Fleetwood Mac songs, and it's exhausting.
I'm a big Stevie guy, like, because obviously, hello, I'm a faggot. And so I'm a big Stevie guy, and I'm a big Fleetwood Mac guy in general, and I cut my teeth wanting to be Lindsey Buckingham more than anything. I've had a guitar since I'm 9 years old. The guitar I got when I was 9 years old from my friend is hanging right there in my office. And I learned to play secondhand news horribly on that guitar. And can I tell you, the only thing I ever want to hear if I'm in public is I just want someone to play Tusk so Kevo and I can look at each other and go,
ooh,
Tusk!
Tusk!
With a USC marching band live intro.
Oh, please, dude! I one time saw the high school band in Florida do Synchronicity, I Can't Stand Losing You, and Englishman in New York, and then out of nowhere do a medley of Fleetwood Mac songs, and they didn't do Tusk. And I was like, that's the only one you should have done.
Tusk is one of my dad's favorite Fleetwood Mac songs, and so when my sister and I saw that Kevin Smith movie Tusk, which was not good, or, you know, I don't remember it being very good, it's probably better than stuff he's made since then, and that song starts to play, like, she and I both, like, lost our minds, and no one else in the theater reacted. It's like, oh, because it's not on Rumors and people don't know that song.
It's on Tusk.
I know, but I'm just saying people don't know.
That makes me so mad. It's like when people are like, "Oh my god, I love Fleetwood Mac. Rumors is one of my favorite
Joe, do you know
albums."
Tusk?
No, not off the top of my head.
As long as you don't think Landslide is on Rumors, we're fine.
I'm good. No, I listen to a lot of Rumors.
Landslide is on the album.
And, like, I listen to a lot of Stevie, too.
Yeah, right?
But, like, yeah.
I mostly know it from an episode of Mystery Science Theater, but that's fine.
I love when somebody is like, "Oh man, have you ever heard that Smashing Pumpkins cover of Landslide?" And I'm like, first of all, it's Billy Corgan by himself. Second of all, no one should have.
I will say I'm not going to read them because it's very boring, but there are 9 crazy credits for this because it is just like the definition of what crazy credits are. You guys, I'm sure you guys are familiar with crazy credits on IMDb, where it used to be like, oh, there's like a joke in a credit in the Airplane movie because it's not a real credit. It's like worst boy instead of best boy. It's worst boy. It's Adolf Hitler. Like he gets this like funny credit, and people started cataloging them. And now crazy credits for newer movies is basically just like, here's a credit scene. It's like, that's not a crazy credit. Like, that's just like a summary of what happened. So there are 9 different crazy credits for this, and they're all basically describing things happening.
Scenes. The ends, yeah.
Well, one is the 5 cutscenes, but it's also like, you can see Howard the Duck in the credits. It's like, that's not crazy. It's just like a recap of what happened.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to do, and I also want to give another shout out to Kevo's research on mcu.html, because he did so much comprehensive, interesting research on all the movies over there. But the thing that I found that I thought was cool about this movie is that even though Vin only says I am Groot as Groot, James Gunn created a Groot version of the script, which contained each of his lines in English so that Vin knew what he was saying and how to say it instead of just saying I am Groot.
Interesting. Okay. I didn't know
And he recorded Groot's voice in 16 foreign languages for this film, up from 6 for the first film. So he's like dubbing himself in a lot of different languages, which is cool. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up for this podcast, because it is a car podcast ostensibly, is that Kurt Russell Ego's car is a 78 Ford Mustang II King Cobra, which is painted the same colors as Star-Lord's ship, which is teal, blue, and orange. And the license plate is James Gunn's high school car's license plate. So there's a little bit of a
That's cool.
thing
Can
there.
I ask you guys a question? Why didn't you guys be like, oh, there's like racing, and there's like bounding a ship back and forth, and there's like flying ships carefully, and there's crashing.
Yeah, the ships are very
it's
cars.
very cars, and like it's like about a fleet, and everybody kind of has their own ship, and then they lose their ship. Nebula is literally without her car, so her identity is destructurized until she's able to become a part of the team, where she regains integrity for having a accessibility back to her ride, and then she even powers one of the machines, which is a vehicle. Like the quality of vehicality in this film is actually really for a movie that takes place mostly in 3 places. This movie does a lot with vehicles as a method of communicating the identity of the character. Everybody's ship is who they are. I mean, everybody's got Han Solo syndrome. And at the same time...
That's what I was thinking. It's Star Wars. So Star Wars.
And at the same time, being a part of a fleet is so important to them. The idea of Ravagers are a family of racers. The idea that the Guardians are part of a family of heroes. Like, the identity of mobility as part of your story in Guardians is such a palpable value that it goes on to kind of dominate the fact that Peter's story ends with him stationary. That's like... he stops moving, and that's such...
Even at the end of Volume 3.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
This movie really... That's why I compared it to Fast and Furious so readily, and I don't... it's not Ethan Frome saying going down the hill is Jesus symbolism, because it's all Golgotha, but, like, there really is something vehicular to the way the Guardians express their motion.
Yeah, that's precisely why I was like... We definitely should have covered this, right? Like, that's, like, along with all the actors and stuff like that. Like, this, I think that this is the appropriate Marvel movie to cover as the comparison to Fast and the Furious.
Also, Ant-Man, because it's a heist in a van.
Also, there's the Thomas the Tank Engine.
Is there a Thomas the Tank Engine in GOTG, or are you saying that Thomas the Tank Engine is...
No, an Ant-Man.
Oh!
An Ant-Man.
Dude, I got something like, wait, are you saying that Thomas the Tank Engine has huge Fast and
I
Furious?
thought I had a stroke. You just said Ant-Man, and I said Thomas the Tank Engine. You're like, in Guardians? I was like, no, man, you just said
No, because
Ant-Man.
the Pac-Man was in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and I'm like, did I miss the Thomas the Tank Engine? Because, like, Kevo, your great point about the references that Peter makes come to predominate the storytelling of his references. So it's Brandy, it's the chain, it's these particular pieces, and he makes a reference to Pac-Man because that is a kind of Tron-era Kurt Russell reference that he can make. By the way, I saw... I need to say it. I need to say it on every podcast, and Kevin's going to roll his eyes. Guys, I got to see Nine Inch Nails at the Barclays, and it...
Oh,
it
nice.
was...
Cool. Boys Noise open,
and
right?
they played half the fucking show. They did Closer with Boys Noise. Boys Noise came out, and it was
Boys Noise is really
so
cool.
good, dude.
Yeah. Big fan. Huge Boys Noise fan.
And it was so fucking perfect. Every light, every color, and they're doing the Tron soundtrack coming up. Big Trent guy. So just really needed to throw that out there because I'm a nerd. I don't know. I feel like there is just so much great to seeing the sort of accessibility between these two ideas. And I don't know. I was ready to come on here and be a curmudgeon, but I feel like I was a happy curmudgeon instead.
Well, maybe you will
fine.
be a
You're allowed to
curmudgeon
get
to
your thoughts.
this, because just posted on Variety, Glenn Powell says Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy changed Hollywood leading men. You can be, quote, sillier and not just, quote, brooding, like Robert Pattinson and Christian Bale.
I really think that is of value.
I remember when Chris Pratt broke out in Guardians of the Galaxy, Powell said. There's no doubt it really helped not being brooding or dark, like I'm not Christian Bale. He has a gravitas and a weight, and Pattinson had his thing. And when Pratt kind of appeared on the scene when he was doing things that were a little bit more silly and buoyant, that's where I feel most at home, and that's where I feel like I had a gear that is a necessary flavor in terms of Hollywood, and not a gear that a lot of guys can play.
I would say he was a step in the evolution that came after Robert Downey Jr. and before Chris Hemsworth being allowed to be funnier with the next Thor movie that will come after this Guardians movie.
Are you guys aware that that was Chris Hemsworth's demand? That he's
For Thor 3.
He said specifically that he refused to play Thor dramatic ever again and insisted on bringing in a rewriter who he would then bring in for Men in Black International. That script writer had to then be brought over to Endgame. Infinity, thank you.
Yeah.
Because Infinity War was getting him wrong to what he should be now.
Interesting. No, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. And that was his personal choice. Like,
He
as an
literally
actor.
said he is so unhappy playing Thor so
Interesting.
mean.
And I think that even speaks to what Glenn Powell is saying. So he's not wrong. Chris Pratt isn't, I would say, the linchpin. I would even say Chris Hemsworth is a more significant turning point for someone like Glenn Powell than Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt representing that middle stage, because we all knew Chris Pratt first as the schlubby, tubby, goofy guy on Parks and Rec. He got into Star-Lord shape, and now he talks about how he doesn't ever want to be like that again. So that's where I think Hemsworth is a little closer for you, Glenn.
I also think that since these movies came out, Chris Pratt has lost a lot of goodwill for a lot of people, and Chris Hemsworth has not.
And
So
So weird choice all
And to
around.
kind of even add to that, I think somebody that was really necessary to this conversation is the dramatic transformation of the identity of Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd going from the backup guy in everything, even the movies he's the male lead in, it's to a stronger female lead. And then he builds all this goodwill, and they give him Ant-Man. I ultimately feel like the Ant-Man movies may be one of my favorite corners of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even when I don't think any of them are an A+ or anything. Just because I find him... I don't think I ever don't like Scott Lang in the movies. The only other character... Because my absolute favorite MCU character, and I will stick my fingers in my ears and blah, blah, blah you. Yelena Belova is the best character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Number 2 is probably Wanda Maximoff. For me, even with what was done to her, I genuinely still think you will never get past that.
That was just a bad run. What are you going to do?
I also do like that you are picking like just the best actors. Like you're just like Florence Pugh and Elizabeth Olsen are like people who actually are good at acting, as opposed to like people who are good at acting in this. Like I'm not saying that like a lot of the MCU actors are bad actors. I'm just saying like they're good at this, but it's like you can't take a Florence Pugh and like you can't pick like a Paul Rudd and put him in like a Lady Macbeth or something. Right. It's a different thing. You put her in there, you're like, oh my god, who is
this? It's like Anson Mount is the very major modern Starfleet super general. Over on Strange New Worlds, where he is Pike, and he is like God's gift to Star Trek right now, although he is getting some crazy competition from La'an, who, if you're not watching Strange New Worlds and you want to get into Star Trek, Strange New Worlds would be a great way to do it. It is just filled with a lot of really brilliant storytelling. Anson Mount as Pike is literally changing what I think about Star Trek, a franchise that I've literally been watching since I am old enough to watch television. I don't give a shit about his Black Bolt. One bit. Don't care. And that's not because he's not a great actor, but it's because sometimes a role is meh. I'm going to be really serious with you guys. My actual least favorite Marvel character in the entirety of Marvel Comics, I'm not making this up, is Yelena Belova. There is no comic book character I hate more than Yelena Belova. There's a comic called Black Widow, The Things They Say About Her. I'm the one who said them all. I hate her. And when she becomes a supervillain and decides to destroy the entire world and ruin Jessica Jones' wedding, good. I hate her so much, fine. You should ruin my favorite person's wedding. Good. And then Florence Pugh comes along, and I've never seen more integrity in a performance in my life. I thought that was one of the most breathtaking things I've ever seen.
Meanwhile, like you said, you love Jessica Jones. We adore Kristen Ritter. We've never watched the 3rd season of Jessica Jones because that show fell apart for us in such a way that even loving so much about... So, like, the kismet does... The chemistry doesn't always work, is part of it. And it's not that it is just blind devotion.
I'm out of thoughts. Someone, please save me from myself.
You just gotta watch Don't Trust the Bee again, and you're gonna be all good. Let's watch the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 teaser trailer posted by Marvel Entertainment 8 years ago. Has 23 million views.
Jeez, yeah.
You guys want to cue this up? We usually just talk over it, see what we think. I mean, we know because this is like, it's less interesting because it's a newer movie. We know the trailer for the most part, but I am curious to see how they package this. Whether this is the scene that Kevo said was just, it's just a tape scene. If this is a different trailer, I don't know. But let me know when you guys have this ready to go, and we will count it down and watch it.
I am ready like it's prom night.
Kevo, you good?
Yes.
All right. And Joe, I'm assuming you're good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. 3, 2, 1, play.
Yeah, I actually remembered it being the opening thing. So, oh, wait, no, it's already different.
I do think that this movie, even though Joe was saying the stakes... Oh, it is the tape one. Even though it feels lower stakes, I think the grandiosity of the amount of spaceships and just being in space, like, it makes it feel bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks beautiful. I really liked all the costuming. I liked all the settings. Like, even the CGI, I think, looks really good in this
exceptional
one.
CGI.
Yes.
There is a really, like... Final Fantasy X is pretty. Final Fantasy XIII is kind of Uncanny Valley. Final Fantasy XII is so beautiful, it's hard to talk about. This is so beautiful at times, and I love that outside of this trailer, they use like a yellow filter, not a blue filter. This trailer feels really blue filtered and purple filtered, but the actual film is gold filtered in a way that elevated the direction really well.
This is also one of the first 4K discs that I had, like, and it was one that I was testing. I was like basically doing that opening Mr. Blue Sky dance. I was watching it test out the new TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right, Kevo. This just ruins this whole act. Yeah.
And then you know that Groot is just going to run off.
That's why I try not to watch trailers. I mean, now I maybe watch a trailer once and then just, like, not pay attention
Hopefully
to
try
it.
to forget it.
Yeah. But especially if you go see a lot of movies, and, like, especially if you see a lot of movies that,
you
like,
see them on
are
loop,
targeted toward, like, boys that are 15, 18 or whatever. You see this movie trailer, like, 8 or 10 times. It's like, well, I can't forget
Yes.
this conversation. Like, when I saw Terminator Genesis trailer maybe 25 times, I was like, okay, well, the scene where the school bus falls off the bridge hasn't happened yet. I know that's coming.
This was actually one of my least favorite scenes in the entire film. This is literally why I don't care for these films, because the entire plot is we're stuck with each other, so we can say anything to each other and break each... Like, literally, if there was humanity in that moment from Drax, when there is humanity from Drax a ton of times... That trailer highlighted the nothingness that this movie delivered unto me. The Weepies and Mandy Moore made a really good album called Wild Hope a trillion years ago, and there's a song called The Nothing You Are, and like I every now and then will just sit here going, this movie is just the nothing it is, and like it. That trailer was everything I didn't like. Because
the thing is, the trailer makes the context look like Drax wants to also be in on the practical joke, and actually then in the context of the movie, he wants Mantis to see how funny it is, and then they're both laughing at him together. Like, I thought, like, there are things where sometimes this stuff works for me. Like the scene where Drax talks about his mother being impregnated. It came across as and just an alien perception of sexuality, and I felt that frankness really worked. But sometimes it's just Drax comes across as mean-spirited.
Yeah, just
and,
mean. Yeah.
I don't find that entertaining. I don't find that heroic. I don't find that someone I can root for or feel sorry for or enjoy, watching the exploits of.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I found interesting on looking back on my notes, I love that you bringing up my notes, that warms my heart. I did work so hard on those, and we want to go back and redo these movies as well at some point, perhaps in the lead up to Doomsday, and so I'll go back and look at my notes and see how I felt about things. But the one thing that I did pull out was my rankings from when we got to the end of Endgame. And I'm very surprised, actually, on this watch of Guardians, that I ranked Guardians second lowest. If I feel that way, it's not in any way that's contentious. It was a fun ride. I did still get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I'm over man pain, but the same could be said if you put on many of these Marvel movies. I think I would perhaps rank Iron Man lower than this now, in many ways, because of how much more man pain dated I would feel that is.
Interesting.
I get
yeah,
that.
that's how it changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the way pain evolves and the way we look at pain evolves and it changes, I will say that at the time I was hateful about the catch scene. I thought the catch scene really represented in this movie the height of everything wrong with the expression of man pain at the time. I think it's because I'm really lucky, right? It's hard to talk about as a gay man sometimes. It makes me feel very guilty. But I had a great dad growing up, right? And he's still great. And I had a great mom. I never went through a period where my parents were withholding or uneffusive even. My sister is famously... I'm not kidding. Nebula is the friendly version of my sister. Seriously. And as a kid, there was nobody who treated me more warmly. I am so lucky that I have lived a life of lavished love. And so when I think about what it means to have daddy issues, I mostly just want to top hot dudes. I don't know. If they're 60, they're 60. It's fine. I guess that's daddy issues. Hey, come hang out. But, I feel like the understanding of what father issues are for me has really evolved because now I'm on the other side of things. And I'm 40, basically. I'm 39. And there are a lot of young men that kind of look to me for advice or look to me for affection. As a member of the gay community, that's something I'm really proud of, that I can provide that. And as a member of my team at work and as a leader, and because since I've been on this, I've changed careers completely, and now I have a corporate life and I work a corporate job, and I am a corporate trainer, and I write training that affects thousands of people instead of teaching a room of 12 people. And I'm not bragging because it's terrible. I am saying it because it has changed my perspective, and understanding that. You know what? I think I'm less critical of the catch scene now than I was then, because now I understand it's a generation of men who were treated poorly by their fathers. And trust me, guys, I don't have daddy issues, but I'm here to help you with yours. And so the scene that I actually have a bigger problem with as a person who has gone through treatment for addiction is actually some of the depiction of Tony in Iron Man 2, which at the time I was like, this is hard-hitting, this is real, and it's important. And now I'm like, this is exactly what Joey said. It's an 80-minute game being compared to a 2-hour thing. It's a process of your life being compared to 7 minutes of a movie sitting in a big donut. And I really do understand where the things I didn't like about this movie back in the time were ad hominem attacks, and the things I don't like about this movie now are BAFTA requirements. And I'm a little more understanding of the fact that I still fucking hate this movie, but I'm able to see that the things that I hate about this movie that do occur in 1 and 3 do not stop 1 and 3 from being good movies. I put 1 above this. I put 3 way above this because if my number 1 is... wow, I'm pretty predictable. If my number 1 is Yelena and my number 2 is Wanda, my number 3 is probably a tie between Daredevil and Nebula. I think Nebula in the holiday special is a sort of special magic you rarely get. I think Nebula in 3 is a treat, but my favorite scenes from my favorite moment of Avengers magic, my favorite scenes from Endgame are all Nebula. So, and Captain Marvel being deeply inconvenienced by being punched in the face by Thanos is my actual favorite cinematic moment ever. Actually, and I've committed that to recording a trillion times. When Thanos punches Captain Marvel in the face and she just looks mildly inconvenienced by the delay is my favorite moment in any movie ever. Because he's like, I'm a god. And she's like, oh my god, you're so annoying. And it's so good because every strong person who has ever been in a minority community has felt that. We have all felt the bigger man punch us in the face and assume because he's bigger, he's stronger. And he's wrong. And, like, that's the best moment in any Marvel movie ever. But all of the others in that movie are Nebula.
Karen Gillan's great.
And she's going to be in Highlander. So I guess see that with, I think it's Dave Bautista and Jimon Honsu and Henry Cavill.
Oh, yeah.
What would you guys like to plug, promote, talk about? You know, Nico changed his career since you've been on here. But what have you been up to? Where can people find us? I'm sure that people have been following you since you were on the show 8 laps ago, which seems crazy to me. But what's going on? What's new in your world? Where can people find you online? What are you putting out there? So on and so forth.
You guys can find me all over the place. I do my normal thing. We do our show together. We do X's for Show, which you guys can find here on YouTube. We love to cover reality shows and sci-fi and comics. We are also doing a new project. For those of you who may remember, if it was that many laps ago, we might have been doing X's for Comics as a joint show where we covered new stuff and we covered old stuff. Right now, we're just kind of taking our space and we're doing whatever we want. We're covering a little bit of Marvel and a little bit of DC every week. I've always read Batman just as much as I've read X-Men, but a tragedy occurred when I was about 18 years old and destroyed my entire Batman collection. And I could not deal with losing every issue of Batman from 1971 to 2003, and so I just sort of put DC out of my mind. But show co-host TK and I have really decided all we really care about is what we care about. And so we're not aligned to anything anymore. We just kind of cover what we want. So we've been covering the entire DC versus Marvel line anytime the two companies have ever met. We are in the middle of Amalgam. So for those of you who remember that fondly, you're wrong. Other than that, we do a lot of X's for Show, which is where we cover, like I said earlier, the things we love. We talk a lot about Project Runway, a lot about Drag Race. I compose music for drag queens now. That's fun. Like the theme song to this show.
That's really fun.
You guys
really fun.
Are not drag queens, but you guys are drag racers, so it's kind of the same thing. There's still drag in the word. So, we are doing the leveled up version of what we used to do. We used to be Marvel Girl and now we're Phoenix. And we're just kind of...
Ooh, I like that.
We're just loving being here because... So one of my favorite people on the planet... major life change. I am now part Monopoly Go. And one of the people I play Monopoly Go with every minute of every day, like an old lady playing Mahjong, recently said to me, tell me why you're on something called cageclub.me. And I said, well, what part are you confused about? And he said, do you like to punch people? What's happening? And I explained, no, it's Nicolas Cage. And he's like, that explains literally nothing. And so I explained everything. And he was like, Jesus, I wanted the Reader's Digest. Stop it. And so I'm ultimately getting to...
It does feel like if you're playing a game with this person ad nauseum, they should know that you are not capable of the Reader's Digest version of anything.
I am at all times Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind, and then sometimes I am Scarlet, the sequel to Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind. But that was my 6th grade book report, and my teacher was like, "You wrote a really weird book report." So
Mine was the Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
Mine was Scarlet, the sequel to Gone with the Wind, because I thought it was important to contrast the past with the identity of fiction now.
I liked Animorphs. We were very different faggots.
We were very different little faggots. But so I was saying to him that, we've been making this show on this network forever. And one of the things that's really cool is this show has just kind of allowed us to level up. This network has allowed us to level up. I think a lot about what I was talking about earlier with James Gunn was fiduciarily responsible to millions of people and ultimately responded to hundreds of people and in result employed tens of thousands of people. And that system was this perfect cog system that kept moving itself till the movie came out, was released, and everybody got to talk about it 8 years later. It allowed him to level up to the guy that made Superman. And part of what allowed him to do that was the freedom to go where he needed to go at the time. Marvel released him from his contract. They brought him back. Then he went over to DC. Kevin Feige said, "With my blessing." And I feel like one of the things that's really cool is I didn't have to go find a DC to do that. When I said to Joey, "Hey, I'm going to just change some stuff," he was like, oh, well, okay, sure. And that's been really cool. So really, we're doing the next level version of the same. We're just next level chef. I'm Naisha. I'm on the top floor. So obviously, I'm the coolest. And if you guys aren't watching Next Level Chef and you don't root for Naisha, I can't help you. And, we're just kind of doing a lot of the same, but really just loving where we came from.
Kevo, anything to add to that?
Well, like we said, he gave the decompressed version, but agree with a lot of what he said. I'm looking forward to a lot of the exciting things that we have to look forward to this season. Nico and I last year watched all of Grey's Anatomy and all of the 911 franchise, and so we are going to be talking about those more on our channel. And the only thing that is really stopping us from doing a Jennifer Love Hewitt podcast is I don't want to watch the client list.
Yeah.
You don't even want to watch the client list, but I want to watch Heartbreakers. So who knows? Maybe we will do everything but
911, Ghost Whisperer, Party of Five. We've got you covered. We're gonna go back and we're gonna do Kids Incorporated.
So much.
It's Kids Incorporated. KIDS. It does look like we made it. So I'm ready. Jennifer Love Hewitt, Mama.
Oh, she was in A Christmas Carol, the NBC version.
She's young Kelsey Grammer's
She's
love.
Emily.
Yeah.
Yes, so love Jennifer Love Hewitt. That's.
I have her Japanese album sponsored by Nike from when she was 7 years old, touring the country at sneaker conventions. Like, it's called Love Songs by Love Hewitt.
I know, you've played it for me.
It's got a cover of Dancing Queen that you will never forget. Later on, she would go on to cover some really strange songs. My favorite Jennifer Love Hewitt cover of all time is probably "Baby, I'ma Want You" by Bread.
Man, if she could team up with S Club 7,
she'd
we would
be unstoppable. Love Club 7.
May I point everyone to the Now and Again podcast number 25, volume 11, side A, wherein Chris and Nico talk about Now That's What I Call Music number 11, where Jennifer Love Hewitt's Bare Naked is on there. And also, apparently, you guys talk about Jennifer Love Hewitt on Anne Frank. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that conversation was about. I think Now and Again is still accessible online. I don't know for sure, but go check out.
But now it's drawing your attention to the fact that it needs to be censored.
Oh my God, the things I said on that show, because Chris wouldn't edit me. God, I really learned a lesson about how to self-control.
Our next episode is A Life in the Fast Lane. It's going to be our last Life in the Fast Lane until November. So if you want to get emails in, family@cageclub.me, email in. We will talk about them on the next episode. But for all things, actually first, shout out to the patrons. Alex, Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, and Brian Rodriguez of Fatherhood, Wes Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato, DiDonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Jason Rainey, Tom Price, Josh Buckley of Whole Lot of Wolves, Michael Moser, Christian Larson, Tara Newman, Aaron Willows, and Natalie Absolute, Randy Carter, Alex Walsh, Jack Haley, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all for supporting at the $5 a month level or above. And for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on some of the socials. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page. Get your name on that list at TooFastTooForever.com. And come back next week For Life in the Fast Lane, I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And that was Nico Action and Kevo Really of X's for everything, whatever they want to talk about. HTML, Husbands Talking on X's for Show. Just find them online. I'll link their bios or their handles in the description, and we will tell you all about it
when we see you again.